Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. Tuan-tuan, puan-puan yang dihormati, majlis akan dimulakan dan untuk itu sukacita memohon kerjasama para hadirin sekalian agar dapat memastikan mikrofon tidak diaktifkan bagi mengelakkan sebarang gangguan dan majlis dapat berjalan dengan lancar. Terima kasih. Tuan-tuan, puan-puan, para peserta SLIP yang dihormati, majlis diteruskan dengan sesi ketiga pada petang ini bersama figura yang amat dinanti-nantikan kemunculannya. Bagi memberkati majlis pada petang ini, marilah kita mulakan dengan bacaan umul kitab Al-Fatihah. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Yang berbahagia Datuk Norman Abdul Halim, Presiden and Group CEO KRU Entertainment. Yang berusaha Puan Zahara Abdul Samad, Ketua Pustakawan Perpustakaan Tunku Tun Aminah UTHM, merangkap Ketua Program Excelib. Yang dihormati Puan Siti Sumaiza Ramli selaku Moderator Program. Barisan Ketua-Ketua Pustakawan Universiti Awam, Barisan Timbalan-Timbalan Ketua Pustakawan Universiti Awam, tuan-tuan, puan-puan, para peserta program yang dihormati. Program SLIP sesi 3 akan diteruskan dengan perkongsian oleh Yang Berbahagia Datuk Norman Abdul Halim. Untuk makluman, program ini akan dikendalikan oleh Puan Siti Sumaiza Ramli selaku Moderator program. Untuk pengetahuan Yang Berbahagia Datuk, Puan Siti Sumaiza merupakan mantan Ketua Pustakawan Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris setelah berkecimpung di dalam bidang kepustakawanan selama 31 tahun. Beliau memiliki Bachelor of Science in Microbiology UKM dan Postgraduate Diploma in Library Science ITM. Beliau juga aktif dalam pelbagai jawatankuasa di peringkat universiti, negeri dan juga negara. Antaranya, Naib Presiden 1 Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia PPM, Ahli Lembaga Pengarah Perbadanan Perpustakaan Awam Negeri Perak, Ahli Jawatankuasa Asian Committee on Library and Information Science Education mewakili Malaysia, Ahli Jawatankuasa Library Association of Singapore Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia Joint Conference 2021, Panel Pembangun Occupational Framework for Libraries, Archives and Museum 2021 dan Pengerusi Jawatankuasa Kecil Latihan Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia. Tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, majlis dengan segala hormatnya mempersilakan Puan Siti Sumaiza Ramli bersama Yang Berbahagia Datuk Norman Abdul Halim dengan topik Becoming a Persona Leader. Dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Pengerusi Majlis Puan Arianti Ahmad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi dan salam sejahtera. Yang berbahagia Datuk Norman Abdul Halim, Presiden and Group CEO KRU Entertainment. Yang berusaha Puan Hajah Zahara binti Abdul Samad, Ketua Pustakawan Perpustakaan Tunku Tun Aminah UTHM, merangkap Ketua Program Excelib. Barisan Ketua-Ketua Pustakawan dan Timbalan-Timbalan Ketua Pustakawan Universiti Awam, tuan-tuan, puan-puan, para peserta program yang sangat dihormati. Alhamdulillah, kita akan meneruskan majlis pada petang ini bersama tokoh yang hebat dan tidak asing lagi bagi kita semua, iaitu Yang Berbahagia Datuk Norman Abdul Halim yang akan membentangkan topik Leadership Persona. Sebelum itu, izinkan saya membacakan sedikit profil Yang Berbahagia Datuk dalam bahasa Inggeris. Datuk Norman was exposed to the world of business at the early age of 20 after graduating with a diploma in accounting. Together with his brothers, Yusri and Edri, he formed a hip-hop pop group named as KRU and was signed to EMI for 14 years. Armed with a vision, he put to practice the knowledge he had accumulated together with his natural instincts and flair for marketing to bring KRU's pop icon band name into a prominent entertainment brand. His vision and strategic leadership has earned him the Outstanding Entrepreneur Award in 2007 from the Asia Pacific Entrepreneur Awards and the Asia Pacific Copyright Educator Award from the Motion Pictures Association in 2011. Datuk Norman past positions in trade associations include chairman IFPI Asia Pacific Board, President of the Malaysian Film Producers Association, Chairman, Recording Industry of Malaysia, and many more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Datuk Norman Abdul Halim, President and Group CEO, KRU Entertainment. Silakan, Datuk.
Terima kasih, Puan Siti. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kepada semua yang hadir pada hari ini, khususnya ada kepimpinan Ketua Pustakawan dan Timbalan Ketua Pustakawan Universiti Awam Malaysia, dan juga kepada semua yang para hadirin sekalian. Pertama sekali, very good afternoon, and it's a great pleasure to be here today for this presentation. It's a short presentation, and I hope that we can have more interaction after this, especially during the Q&A session. I would like to actually give you a brief introduction on what we do, especially my personal journey, especially being a leader, and also at the same time how I hope that my personal journey can actually help you to become great leaders as well, along with the other speakers that you have actually attended the forum. Okay, so next slide, please, Felicia. So let me just start with a brief history on myself. So kita throwback kejap ya. Okay, this is actually me and my brothers and my sister dengan my parents. Ni ambil gambar dekat gajah. So I'm the abang long. So jadi abang yang sulung ni have responsibilities lah. I have two brothers, Yusri and Edri, and my sister Halina ni. Ini yang orang tak kenal sangat. Tapi she's actually an accountant. And from the younger days, actually, I've always been asked by my parents to take care of my brothers and my sister. So, jadi I take that responsibility from my parents. Somehow rather that instilled some form of leadership qualities in me to take that. Technically, the sacrifices that you need to make as a leader. You know, so technically, for example, let's say if you were to have any kind of makan-makan, whatever, you know, the priority be given to my brothers first and my sister, or even let's say I still remember when my brother Edri, he's a bit hot-tempered. He's pretty hot-tempered. Yang pendek dalam gambar nampak dia pendek, sudahnya they all outgrew me actually. Eventually, so he's I can say that he's, you know, they're strong-minded people. I would say that my two brothers, they're very strong-minded people. And Edri at a very young age, he likes when he plays football. Sometimes you will end up fighting the referee as well. So he's the kind of person that will actually get to trouble sometimes with friends and even people who are much older than him. And I myself normally tend to defend him in whatever way I can. So the thing is, I still remember I fought with my own friend because to defend him. So tapi yang cari pasal dia. But that was at a very young age lah. So I just want to share with you, that is my early memory of being a leader, and at the same time, somehow rather that kind of training when I was young, very young, it actually helped me to actually get recognized by those, especially my teachers, you know, during my primary school days, appointed as the head of classroom as early as standard 2. And then I was a school prefect in standard 3, and then actually I continued to be a school prefect until my secondary school, and somehow rather appointed as a football team captain, and at the same time, you know, whatever persatuan lah, like all these persatuan kelab bahasa Melayu lah, kelab persatuan sejarah, matematik, and so on. Naturally, I will end up in, like, if it's not the ketua or the president, I will become the bendahari or someone like that. So I don't know why. Maybe I like to take the responsibility as well. Maybe I'm trained to do that. So somehow rather that because of that, technically, if I get myself involved in something, I'll end up taking certain role of leadership. So that is the brief background when I was much younger lah, during my earlier especially my childhood days. Next. So throughout the years, the journey of forming the group KRU first started at the age of 20. So I was not really trained to be a business person or as a singer, songwriter, or producer. But it naturally, it was on the job learning experience for us, for all of us, in fact, my brothers and I. So we always took whatever opportunities that actually is relevant or linked to us. But I remember the day that we were interviewed, or technically it was not an audition. Masa kita nak dapat contract dengan syarikat rakaman EMI, it was more of an interview. It was not an audition at all. So jadi, because they also got a copy of our recording through a cassette. Jadi kaset ni sampai dekat tangan EMI. We also through a friend of mine lah. Dia hantar my college friend. So they asked me, the first thing that they asked me, they was what is it? How do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? It was like a job interview. Bukan macam nak interview, nak audition penyanyi tau. It was more like macam you know, how do you see? It's just like macam, okay, is it immediately, because masa kita buat recording tu, we use whatever tools that we got, whatever gadgets that we got. It was a mini compo. I still remember button play and record, kena tekan nak record dekat button play record tu. And then I also remember that my play record, one of the buttons ada yang patah. So kita duduk bercangkung bersila dengan mikrofon, akan nyanyi sama-sama, record the demo, and somehow rather that particular demo got into the hands of EMI. So jadi I said immediately after he said, how do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? I cakap, we want to have our own recording studio. So, and of course, my 2 brothers, at that point of time, very timid. Nak cakap dengan orang pun tak berani. And I myself pun, because kita ni grew up in a so-called very homely environment, my mother seldom, or my father seldom allow us to go out. Jadi kita ni being typical, very Asian family juga kot. Because the thing is, we tend to, you know, be very reserved, a very unlikely character to be entertainers or even a leader lah. So the thing is, but at the same time, when we got the opportunity, of course, we took the opportunities that come our way, and also try to do our best with whatever we can. So the thing is, based on that, we started our music business, and then eventually it transformed into a film business. And somehow rather the leadership role, from being a singer-songwriter, a film and music producer, and eventually to become the CEO of my own company and my brothers, I was actually very fortunate that my talent was seen or being maybe observed or identified as well by the film producers and record labels. So Recording Industry of Malaysia is actually an association, a trade association, as Puan Siti mentioned just now. It comprises about 300 over record companies in Malaysia, including the major labels like Warner, Sony, EMI. So Warner, Sony, and Universal. Dulu ada EMI lah, sekarang tak ada EMI lah. So jadi there's 3 major labels there, and I remember when I first started, I was just a singer-songwriter. We just started the label about a few years back. Then I masuk dalam election. Election tu ada dia pemilihan lah. So I got the lowest vote actually. Barely made it to become a council member. Because dia tengok, yalah apa budak ni tahu kan. So in the second term, after 2 years after that, I immediately became the vice president, ataupun the vice chairman of Recording Industry Malaysia. And after 1 term of that, I became the chairman of Recording Industry Malaysia. So somehow rather, you know, people gave me the opportunity, and eventually I took the opportunities, showed my leadership, my style of leadership, and I've always been concerned about, you know, can I outdo my predecessors, you know. So sometimes I always feel that there's always the pressure to say, okay, but it's always good that you think that, okay, how you yourself can be a leader in your own way. You don't need to actually follow others. So just try to actually do your best in whatever you can. And somehow rather, I managed to get the opportunity to become the chairman of IFPI Asia Pacific Board. So to let you know the magnitude of this, the IFPI Asia Pacific Board is the Recording Industry Malaysia Association punya scale for the global punya trade association. So dekat situ, the major labels are no longer dealing with the managing directors of the the MDs of the local of the local label like Warner, Sony dengan Universal, dia ada boss dia lagi tu di peringkat Asia Pasifik. So to imagine that the bosses to the boss dekat Malaysia ni also appointed me as technically the first Malaysian or first Asian guy to actually become the chairman of the Asia Pacific board. So all my board members were all the Mat Salleh punya bosses lah. So that was the time that I felt that my leadership was recognized internationally also. And along the way also was made the president of the Malaysian Film Producers Association. So won a few awards along the way, and somehow or other I've always maintained my style of leadership, which I will share with you. So maybe you can actually get a little bit of some insights on how we can actually lead in a new environment, especially a new environment like now. Okay, next, please. So now I currently hold the position of the deputy chairman at FINAS. This is again recognized by the government lah. Jadi this is a big responsibility. It's only for 2 years, and my tenure is only up to May next year. We're in the midst of doing a lot of transformation for the organization, and we're going to look at whatever we do within and what we plan to do for the industry, and at the same time to look at building the structure that will outlast people. So this is actually the vision that we have to actually transform FINAS to be a truly global agency, government agency. So I'm also the president of Yayasan KRU, which is an entity that we started back in 2018 to actually help the B40 punya students to actually get scholarship related to skills-based education. And also I'm still holding that position as the president CEO of KRU Group. So that's a little bit of my background on being the leader of various organizations, including KRU, and also my experience in leading trade associations, and also right now, especially with the government agency. Next. So I've always been so-called seen or being called as having that certain kind of talent or the charisma to engage and communicate with my subordinates. So I just put all these photos there just to get you inspired. You know, these are the great leaders that I can think of locally and internationally. Of course, you know, I don't want to put any local politicians lah. Nanti sekarang ada orang pula tak suka ke, ada yang suka. So I don't want to cross that line. So I purposely pick you know, overseas talents as well, especially overseas politicians, whereby you can see that the charisma, some of them are born or gifted, you know, like for example, Barack Obama is a great orator. You know, he communicates well. Yeah, actually I had the pleasure, taklah jumpa dia, I was from a distance actually, masa he was at in Kuala Lumpur, in Cyberjaya, when the launch of Magic punya Oval area. And then I nampak when he was there taking photographs with a bunch of people. Mula-mula tak ada, dia communicate, dia cakap. Suddenly the cameras were on him, you know. Suddenly they pushed the camera. Okay, sir. Immediately dia punya senyum tu buka lebar. Fuh. Macam tu gelak dia semua sekali. So like I nampak, you know, he's always in that position. Even the way you post, you know, on camera kan. I always like even Yusri also advise me juga every time kadang-kadang buat interview, kena sentiasa that have that smiley face, you know. I mean, and he would say that, you know, kalau if you want to actually maintain that posture, is you put your tongue on your dekat atas langit, gitu. Jadi you always tend to smile, and by having that kind of so-called pleasant kind of look, it will develop certain kind of appeal for people to like you. Yeah. So kalau kita macam masa in a way, kita kadang-kadang kita ada mood swing kita, understandable. We have good days and bad days. But sometimes, you know, dealing with people for the first time, it's actually important to give a good impression. So, okay, that's Barack Obama. Of course, talk about Steve Jobs, for example. Yeah, the late Steve Jobs. I think he's a great technology guy. You know, I mean, the thing is, he understands technology. He understands what Apple can do for people. Generally, it is the products that was created. It's actually the innovation behind him. Is purely a good example of someone being a technopreneur. So again, he understands technology and he knows how to help. Creating all those gadgets that will help people. So it's not about handphones, it's not about computers, it's not about Apple. It's all about making lives, making people's so-called life better. So jadi that is actually something that I admired about him. Of course, Cristiano Ronaldo lah. Okay, I cakap pasal Cristiano Ronaldo ni pasal, at the age of 38 now, 38, around 38. He was born in 1985. 5th February, same birthday macam saya. So cuma that he was born about 13 years later lah. So Ronaldo ni, you can see that he's such a great talent, and he's the captain of Portugal and the football team, and he inspires his team through his own talent and also his hard work. So the thing is, you can see it on the football pitch in terms of how great leader he demonstrates his skills, and it inspires others to be like him. And of course, I will not forget about our own local entrepreneur, Tan Sri Tony. I know him from the days masa dekat Warner Music lagi. So to start an airline business is no joke, and considering the times that the kind of difficulties that he has to face now is another big challenge, and how to overcome that. You can see that whatever he's doing at AirAsia is something that we should try to emulate, because the challenges that we face, whatever we face, even I myself, I always cakap, COVID punya situation, having difficult times dealing with the economy and so on. Imagine the kind of scale of problems that he has to face. So, okay, Oprah is Oprah lah. I think you all know about her. And then she's always a good person that is seen to be much empathize with people, So how she empathized with the situation, problems, what people are facing, the challenges. So all these things, makes them to be great leaders. So jadi a leader, I would say that must have that communication skills. I think that's a very important asset to have. And it's not something that you're born with. If I were to say that I was born to be able to communicate or to speak without scripts, maybe because of my years of training as a leader to help me to become someone who can speak, off the cuff lah. But my brother Edri, I cakap, Yusri maybe pendiam sikit lah. Tapi Edri, my brother Edri, dia mula-mula pun tak reti cakap dengan orang. He was very timid and very shy. And in the last maybe 5-10 years, he started to bercakap. If you look at KRU's concert, yang last kali concert in 2018, dia yang dominate, dia banyak bercakap. So the thing is, can see that basically the communication skills ni is not something that you're born with or a gift. Memang ada some people are gifted, but it also takes some form of training for you be able to communicate. The second part is persuasiveness. So macam mana you meyakinkan? Because I always believe that in order to be able to actually get what you want, sometimes especially in the current generation, kita tak boleh nak marah-marah sangat. We need to actually guide them, persuade. Even the higher up, you have bosses as well. I have to deal with my clients. I have to deal with, let's say, for example, with the ministry, or even to deal with my peers in the recording industry or even film industry. I need to be able to persuade and to channel or inform them on the issues that we have at hand and how do we actually address these problems. And of course, to charm, to influence others as well. Again, macam mana, you must be a likable person. Bila I cakap pasal Barack Obama buat smiling tu, I think this is something that you must be a likable person. Kalau orang tak suka you, dia bolehlah yes boss with you in front, tapi kat belakang dia tak buat secara ikhlas, ataupun dia sendiri pun maybe sabotage juga. So the thing is no point actually try to instill that kind of maybe in the old in the old ways of doing things, maybe the way you communicate with the people instill fear and stuff like that. Tapi sekarang ni I don't think that can work, So you must have the ability to connect with people on a deep level, especially in valuable within the organization. So the thing is, what you're trying to do is actually try to build that kind of bond with your team. Next. So that's very much being a charismatic leader. Yeah. So the thing is, you see that as a benchmark. So we talk about persona pula. So persona is actually a character that is presented or perceived by others. It's either you are being yourself or you are presenting an image. For example, let's say, I cakap pasal even being nice to people bila first time walaupun you are having a bad day, maybe kena berlakon sikit. Kan, the thing is, because we do not want to give an impression that you are being so-called having a bad day that day, and then you are in a foul mood, and of course you don't want to show that. So the thing is, nak katakan to be fake, tak ada lah. It's just basically the persona of having that character of being somebody and being perceived by others being that character is also something that is something that you need to consider as well. Because kadang-kadang cakap, okay, just deal. I'm like that, so deal with it. So tak boleh macam tu. Because the thing is, as a leader, sometimes you need to look at macam mana to create certain kind of characteristics that you admire in others, especially like, let's say you look at certain leaders that you know, or even people that you know within your organization, and how do you actually try to emulate that? Like macam mana I try to emulate nak senyum every time kalau ada kamera, senyum sikit lah. So jadi in a way that those things are the so-called the experience that you have, and then the journey you yourself as a leader, how you position yourself. The other thing that something that can be developed is also the persona of basically what you wear, the perfume that you put on. So benda-benda macam tu, that's actually part and parcel of what we call as a personal branding. Yeah. So personal branding too, I would say that is actually very important for us to look into. I myself I have an experience when I remember this particular day, I pergi Hari Raya punya gathering. Okay, Hari Raya gathering is actually one of the ministries lah. So masa tu sebelum COVID, jadi ramai orang. So everybody, biasalah bila menteri ataupun datang semua sekali, they will go through the big crowd, kan, dia salam lah dengan all those people yang ada, and then dia tahulah salam pun, dia salam ramai orang, so dia tak tengok pun, sometimes tak tengok mata pun, tak ada eye contact. But KRU punya color, corporate color KRU is orange. Okay, so color orange ni memang stand out. Kalau I pergi duduk, kebanyakan orang pakai baju Melayu, they will wear something dull colors like black, macam chocolate or even grey, stuff like that. Suddenly I was there wearing my orange baju Melayu. Immediately, like a few people before me pun, dia mata dia terpandang ke I dah. Man, apa khabar? Dia ingat nama I lagi pula. So jadi alhamdulillah. So jadi this is part and parcel of building that persona of what we call as a personal brand lah. So the thing is, that's something that you can do physically lah. Something that you can do and help, whether you can actually have something more pakaian you ke, even the perfume that you put on and stuff like that. Kalau if you don't wear perfume or you don't put on a deodorant, lagi orang ingat kat you, tapi ingat you busuk lah. Tapi we don't want that. We don't want anything negative that people will stay away from you. So the thing is, these are the things that I would say that is very important. You as a leader, try to create that kind of personal brand that portrays yourself, and also maybe you want to emulate others. Okay, next. So we talk about this topic today. Next. So we talk about leadership persona. Yeah. So the thing is, this is once again, it's not a negative thing to say about trying to emulate others or to create that perception. But it is something that is important for you to understand that we're dealing with people, and we need to actually create that kind of confidence or instill that confidence in your team to be able to follow your instructions or your vision. Yeah. Next. So it's an intentional role as someone leading the team to mobilize others to achieve a common goal. So the thing is how you actually create that kind of persona, whether you think of Barack Obama ke, whether you think of Tony Fernandez ke, or you think of a local leader yang lain ke, apa ke, or even your vice chancellor ke. So whoever that you admire, you can try to emulate that role and to emulate that to mobilize a common goal. And to think about the qualities which are most admired in other leaders, as I mentioned just now, or even what we like about ourselves. So jadi we emphasize on that juga. So that kind of leadership persona tu macam mana? Contohnya, for example, like for example, I like to actually get the people to think of me as someone who understands technology, so understands creativity, someone who is approachable. So these are things that I will try to actually emphasize on that. So kalau kita ada this kind of that personality, you try to think as you communicate with your team. Which are the qualities that you can emphasize, whether it's actually someone that you know or someone that you admire or even you yourself. So how do you think about the qualities that you need to actually have in communicating with your team? Identify the leadership source, so jadi you tahu basically the source of leadership tu and the essential values that guide behaviors. So these behaviors are your team players. So macam mana how to get a positive outcome out of that particular meeting, or the positive outcome of that one-on-one meeting, or the positive outcome of your speech. So all those things you need to know basically how do you guide those to achieve those positive outcome and to guide those behaviors. And consider about the type and quality of relationship that you want to establish with those who you want to work with. For example, I myself try to actually portray that my team can approach me anytime. Even tak kira lah orang dekat Finas ke I deal with, or even dekat KRU or whoever. So while at the same time, of course I have a very busy schedule, but at the same time I try to attend to individual needs if they need guidance. I'm fortunate that I have team members around me who can help me as well. For example, I ask my HR, give me birthdays of the team, so every month. So bulan Oktober ni siapa, bulan November ni siapa. So the thing is, these are little things that sometimes the people that tak sangka, tiba-tiba you send a text wishing them happy birthday, apa khabar, like that. So the thing is, this is something that you need to establish to build your relationship with your team. One more thing that I actually just learned yesterday. I had another session, another forum with another leader juga. The way he bonds with people is by talking to them, on a regular basis, talking about things that is not related to work, so how's your wife, or how's your kids, So the thing is, that inspired me to start even possibly having lunch with one-on-one lunch sessions with my team members. So these are the things that that kind of relationship or bonding with them can actually help you achieve your targets lah. The behaviors that we strive to model our team. So again this is actually try to actually emulate other organizations pun boleh. You tengok macam mana, I always use the analogy of football. I support the team Manchester United. I tahu ramai orang sini tak suka kot, marah sikit lah. Tapi try to actually emulate the team and try to tell them basically what kind of models that we need to have to encourage certain kind of behavior. So jadi this is the thing to achieve a common goal. Yesterday I saw a documentary about a person that I know very well juga. He was the CEO and the head of Asia Pacific of a music label, but the way he instills that kind of so-called bonding with his team is to, again us against them punya kind of concept, So maybe there's negative and also positive thing about that, but it's the way about, we got to be number one all the time. We always benchmark, we as a team, okay, what do you want to be a number 2? Do you want to be a number 3? Or do you want to be a number 5? Or you want to be last? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about being just number 2 and someone else, another team is being number 1? So that will instill that kind of behavior to actually get your team to react, to improve themselves. Next. So, and of course, how to make decisions and give feedbacks. This is actually another point to highlight. As a leader, you need to actually make decisions and give that kind of guidance to the team, and ways to manage your work-life balance. I mentioned just now about my philosophy in terms of dealing with my team members tak bekerja, So the thing is, even sometimes, the communications I have with my team, if it's actually a message, a text message, a WhatsApp, I try to keep it in my phone. I only send it at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, or the first day of work. So the thing is, these are the things that you need to create so that the work environment and also the life of the people in the team must be in a balance. Next. and how to respond in the most challenging leadership situations. So the thing is, sometimes you cannot avoid dealing with crisis, problems, and so on. So again, like this is actually another thing to take note of. How do we respond to it, and how, especially to stay calm. This is actually something I learned from the chairman of FINAS. The thing is, in terms of not reacting too fast, and then try to ada tempo bertenang to think about how to react in certain situations. Next. So, but apart from the persona aspect, I would say that next, please. So we talk about the substance is also very equally important. Yeah. So I mentioned about the personal brand. I mentioned just now. How do you, as a leader, to position yourself, especially the way you talk, the way you present yourself, the clothes that you wear, and your hairstyle, even the tudung that you wear. So all those things, we talk about comes together as a personal brand. Second, of course, behavior, as I think I've touched that a few times just now. So in terms of how you deal with your people, how you deal with problems, how do you deal with having an opportunity, perhaps, and then how to build up the teamwork. So these are kind of the essential attributes that you need to have in terms of having that kind of certain kind of level of behavior. Power, ini benda ni cannot avoid, because the thing is, kalau you tak ada authority, tak ada power, kadang-kadang orang tak dengar cakap. So for example, I realized that when dealing with a government organization like FINAS, need to have ada punca kuasa dia and ada that kind of mandate. So if you run your own private company, that's not a problem, because technically, because you own the company, automatically your subordinates will listen to you because you are the owner. Tetapi when it comes to like doing a trade association, for example, ataupun my experience in a government agency, the punca kuasa part of it, the kuasa part is still important. Yeah, kalau tak ada, then people may not listen to you. Seterusnya is vision. Of course, as a leader, you must have that direction to guide the team, because the team is actually waiting for you to give that direction, because that's why you're there as a leader. You need to provide that vision, maybe that strategy that's needed, and then in terms of how to implement it and understand the operational problems that may come later, and how do you deal with with those problems. The values, as I mentioned earlier, I like to instill the values of the family environment in my organization, that they can communicate and talk to me. And then in terms of how do we deal with rewarding people and so on. So the things, these are the things that I would say is important for you to actually emphasize on. The values that you want to promote as well. Contohnya, waktu family time and stuff like that, you don't try to kacau your subordinates during those times. The charisma ni aura dia lah. So the thing is, if you're able to actually project yourself as someone that drive on, the thing is, try to get the attention of your team members by showing that you have that kind of charisma to lead an organization. Because sometimes, I know some of my people, even the people I deal with in various organizations, bila they don't have certain kind of attributes like this, like having the charisma, or being so quiet, being so timid, not being able to speak, not being able to communicate well, or even share the vision in a form whereby it's in writing. Kadang-kadang cakap banyak tapi nak menulis susah. So these are the things yang you need to show, that basically that you have that kind of ability to lead lah, the charisma to lead, and especially leading by example lah. Contohnya, for example, I myself, memang even though sometimes I finish late at night buat kerja, but knowing my staff will come in at 9 o'clock in the morning, I definitely have to be there by 9. So the things, these are the things that you need to actually tunjuk leadership by example. Last but not least is intelligence lah. Intelligence ni, once again, kita kena always know that kita ni always have to improve ourselves from time to time. Sometimes general knowledge, sometimes on a specific topic, learn more about it and find out more about certain subjects. So by having that knowledge and intelligence will definitely give you an extra advantage dealing with your people, with your subordinates. Next. So I will simplify in terms of being a leader. Yeah. So the thing is simple of what, who, when, where, how. So as a leader, as a strategist to plan and to achieve certain goals, you need to know what are the objectives of that particular organization. So now we're talking about the library. So what are the objectives? Must clearly define what are the objectives, and this must be clearly communicated with the team. Like I myself, I've communicated with my team that I'm looking at only three things. Yeah, I tak buat banyak, 3 benda je. So I cakap, I look at the financial so-called achievements or the milestones that we want to reach every financial quarter. We look at the branding aspect of the company. This is translated through the website traffic, translated in the form of social media, punya followers and engagement, and the kind of brand positioning. One thing that we like to do in the future is to do the brand survey. So how people perceive about our brand. Last but not least is database. Basically, we need to actually have the database of people, even data related to certain achievements of other competitors as well. So not just the data about your organization, but also other even competitors, so that you can make data-driven policy and policy making and data-driven decision making. So these are the three things I would say I would emphasize at my company. That's what, that covers what. Who? We have different people handling different types of organizations. We have from doing films, doing music, animation, education. We have online training programs that we offer, and we have our yayasan and so on. So the thing is, what we do is that we try to identify who are the leaders there, and they need to know who they need to work with as subordinates. When? So when we talk about when, it's actually when to achieve all these outcomes or the milestones that we want to achieve. So jadi it's very important for us to know and put a timeline to it. Tak adalah macam the deadline goes forever and ever. So it must actually achieve certain milestones at certain time. Where? It depends. Kalau cakap pasal kita punya our operations is of course in Cyberjaya. Tetapi where our target market is, for example. So we're launching various e-commerce market, e-commerce platforms. In fact, one will be launched next week. So there'll be a few more e-commerce platforms that we will launch, and we need to know where our customers will reside. So these are the things that what we do is that we need to know where these people are, and last but not least, how to achieve those goals. So jadi this is actually to simplify the team's objectives, and I would say dalam filem ke apa pun sama juga. Basically kita cerita pasal filem pun kita cakap apa subjek dia, who is involved, siapa ya dia punya watak-watak yang terlibat dan siapa berlakon dalam watak tu. When, period bila kita tunjuk, are we doing an epic movie or doing a current punya time, where, location kat mana kita nak shoot, or how we want to establish that location, and how we going to execute the plan. So the thing is how things happen in a particular story. Yeah. So jadi these are the things yang sama je. This is actually about even journalism as well. Next. So I would like to actually just share with you in terms of our own transformation. Yeah. Jadi bila I cakap about leadership, I cannot run away from talking about KRU's company or corporate journey as well. So we first started in 1992. We were singer-songwriter producers. We actually managed to get our own recording studio within a year. Yeah, even though macam EMI tanya pada I mula-mula macam mana nak start, what is your vision, what are your plans for the 3 to 5 years from now. I mentioned I wanted to have a recording studio, but we managed to get it within a year. And then of course we started in 1997 we started a music label, we started an event company. In 2005 we started producing feature films, and in 2012 the KRU 4.0 version, we launched a vocational college. Basically it's focusing on skills-based program related to creative industry yang at that point of time lah, pada tahun 2012. So the 4 phases of KRU. Now we've come to the 5th era of KRU. Next. So the 5th era of KRU is very much related to technology and e-commerce. So we combine content, digital media, e-commerce, deal with big data, use the cloud facilities, use social networking, and definitely our consumers now consume content through mobile. So this is actually the next era, the next phase, whereby the COVID situation also actually slowed down the process technically, because we were developing the platforms. There were there are 3 platforms in total. Tapi it slowed down the launch date, and it slowed down certain aspects of the production of those platforms. Tapi now we're ready. Inshallah, you will see more of it lah. So this is actually the vision, this is the dream. And then we talk about how are we going to do this. So this is the next slide. So how is through encouraging more collaborations and participation of even the young graduates, fresh graduates, unemployed graduates, even professionals. We decided to transform our training institution to become a hybrid a professional certificate program institution, whereby we focus more on upskilling and reskilling. We work with public and private universities as our partners, and actually you will hear of one particular announcement that we will announce next week. So currently we're just focusing on these areas, whereby content creation includes 3D animation, video editing, performing arts, social, e-commerce, and also digital entrepreneurship. So we hope to encourage more and more participants to join this program, so that we will be able to actually get more so-called support and work together with these entrepreneurs or even professionals to help them grow their business, and at the same time we grow together with them. So it starts with training, it starts with sharing information. So the leadership does not mean that you're dealing with just your employees, but also dealing with peers of the industry, and even see how we can actually get more people to come on board on your vision as well. So with that, this is the last slide here. So next. So this is the story of my personal journey, and also the leadership persona subject that I presented today. So if you'd like to just find out more about these programs that we offer, you can actually scan the barcode and just key in certain information, and we can actually get back to you on that. So terima kasih banyak-banyak, dan saya serahkan balik kepada Puan Siti.
Terima kasih, Datuk. Okey, tuan-tuan, puan-puan, demikianlah pembentangan daripada Datuk Norman Abdul Halim mengenai kepakaran, pengalaman yang sangat menarik daripada ikon industri muzik dan filem tanah air, serta ikon usahawan dan ahli perniagaan yang berbahagia, Datuk Norman Abdul Halim. Dengan topik yang disebut tadi adalah leadership persona. Okey, baiklah. Sekarang saya ingin membuka kepada pertanyaan daripada semua peserta untuk sesi soal jawab. Silakan tuan-tuan, puan-puan boleh berinteraksi terus bersama Datuk Norman ataupun mengemukakan soalan di ruangan chat untuk saya kemukakan kepada Datuk. Silakan. Ramai ni nak berkenalan dengan Datuk ni. Ada nak mohon kerja pun ada ni, Datuk.
Oh ya ke? Guys, semua kat sana, pustakawan semua dah hebat.
Okey, Assalamualaikum Datuk.
Waalaikumsalam.
Silakan, Cik Azman.
Saya Azman Hashim daripada Universiti Malaysia Kelantan.
Ya, Cik Azman. Apa khabar?
Baik,
Gambar tak keluar ni? Gambar muka tak keluar?
Datuk pun lama kita tak berbincang bermusyarat bersama lagi ni.
Ada meeting kan hujung bulan ni kan? Patutnya?
Ya, ada hujung bulan ni lah.
Ya.
InsyaAllah. Datuk, just want to ask you regarding about you punya hala tuju ataupun perkembangan you sebagai leader lah kan. Okay, you change yourself a lot daripada entertainment, and then after that ada juga you jadi pernah involve dengan politician, betul tak?
Ya, betul, benar.
Dan ada juga you involve dengan dia lah. Sekarang ni you go for e-commerce, a lot of things that I part of it I know. So daripada entertainment you change yourself to the real business. For me, entertainment pun real business lah. E-commerce ni, whatever yang buat sekarang ni lagi more advanced lah bagi saya. So how you change yourself a leader? Because librarian juga menghadapi benda yang sama, mungkin dalam konteks yang berbeza. Mungkin dulu kita berfikir bahawasanya librarian ni buku, tapi for me now we are no longer about books anymore. Book is not only a part of the librarian punya kerja lah bagi saya. Makin lama makin kecil, but kita sekarang ni adalah custodian of knowledge, and custodian of knowledge ni dia sesuatu yang memberi impact yang tinggi, tapi dia tidak nampak sumber kewangan tau. Dia tidak nampak that RM, but dia nampak dalam konteks bila orang tu menggunakan ilmu tu, dia akan mengembangkan sesuatu apa yang dia buat, especially macam your business punya apa ni kan, environment. You memerlukan maklumat yang tepat dan cepat kan untuk you buat decision. So how you change yourself from entertainers, lepas tu you apa ni buka bisnes apa ni entertainment semua, and then after that you change yourself to apa ni the real life of business yang you involve a lot of apa ni of things dalam you punya apa ni. So how you change that, because we need that kind of apa ni input dalam keadaan dalam tempoh masa yang terdekat, you mengikut perkembangan zaman, so you sustain dengan karakter you. Dan bila orang cakap Norman, orang kenal KRU, walaupun KRU dulu entertainment kan. Tapi sekarang ni bila orang cakap apa ni, orang nampak you je orang fikir KRU. KRU is a brand lah bagi saya sekarang ni kan. So nak tahu macam mana you change the apa ni, the environment dalam keadaan perubahan zaman yang begitu mencabar sekarang ni.
Okay, terima kasih Tuan Haji. So jadi first kali I must say that the role of libraries, you're very right. The thing is talking macam buku tu adalah satu format saja. Buku dicetak tu satu format. Dan you buat dalam format e-books satu format. Ya, macam kami akan lancarkan platform audiobook yang Tuan Haji pun tahu, yang kami akan lancarkan di platform. So these are all formats ya, dari segi format e-book ke, cetakan ke ataupun audiobook. Tapi yang pentingnya ialah content. What is the content yang what is the manuscript about? Jadi sama ada dicetak ataupun secara digital, all this sebagai pelbagai format yang boleh dihasilkan. Contohnya kami buat filem dan okey, kalau itu cakap pasal format, next thing pula cakap pasal filem. Kami buat filem masuk panggung, lepas tu masuk Astro First, lepas tu masuk dekat Netflix, lepas tu masuk dekat YouTube ke apa ke, semua tu adalah platform. So content and platform works hand in hand. So jadi when you talk about KRU being in business since 1992, I must say that my advantage lagi satu apart from being Abang Long ni is also my love for accounting. So I start with my spreadsheet dulu. I start with the accounting punya so-called forecast, the low, mid, high forecast, dan juga basically do my costings. So to plan ahead. So what are so-called the potential risks involved and can we afford to take those risks? So I learn a lot of so-called, especially from my failures as well. So bukan yang semuanya berjaya. So banyak failures yang kita lalui juga pun yang orang tak tahu. Orang nampak yang berjaya je. Yang failure orang tak nampak. Jadi bila failures tu yang kita tengok macam mana we want to avoid the pitfalls yang boleh berlaku. So to answer your question about how do we transform ourselves? Sebenarnya what we are doing now today it's not anything different than what we started off back in 1992. Because we talk about still audio production. Bila cakap pasal audiobook, still audio production. Kita nak buat satu platform lagi e-commerce yang tak lama lagi, kita akan jualkan merchandise. So produk-produk merchandise ni kami dah buat tahun 1992, 93, 94 dulu. Merchandise KRU lah. So jadi but now instead of just doing KRU punya produk, we are working with other so-called graduan university, tengok cari even agensi kerajaan yang boleh bantu usahawan-usahawan daripada graduan, kalangan graduan ataupun the unemployed professionals, so help them to start their business. So jadi kat situ we are scaling up by helping our partners lah. Jadi macam mana to evolve and especially to distribute, because our strength now, especially when you mention about KRU being a brand, it helps to create the attention of the audience, because technically kalau kami melancarkan sesuatu, we have an added advantage because people know our brand. And people nampak brand kita always linked to technology, linked to creativity, and we always try to challenge ourselves to do things outside the box. Jadi benda yang orang tak sangka ataupun orang tak fikir yang orang Malaysia boleh buat, kita buat, kita cuba. So because of that, kadang-kadang I can tell you, I would say that the businesses that we get sekarang ni are people from that kita tak sangka orang akan approach kita. So I can tell you that there was one particular, I would not mention the client, but bila dia nak buat iklan ataupun dia nak buat launch a song and they want to think of something that is trendy or current, they will come and approach KRU. The KRU will come in as that kind of the brand that people can think of to do certain kind of production. Jadi alhamdulillah lah, I would say that because that we are consistent about our philosophy on emphasizing on creativity, emphasizing on technology, emphasizing on entrepreneurship. So technically, because of that, kita can diversify. In fact, the programs that we do dekat training kita pun, kita work with private and public universities. So their students are also technically we're creating the pathway for them to upskill and reskill. So jadi we work with people like various universities lah, including like I can mention yang ramai yang kita buat, even employ in our company pun ramai. So the thing is, this is actually the concept of collaboration that we try to emphasize. So in short, whatever you ask me about basically macam mana how we remain relevant is that we always tengok the failures of others juga. Because the thing is, kalau kita tak evolve, we don't change in how we do things, we will left behind. And the thing is, kami masa mula-mula pun kami dah terfikir pasal masa tu banyak keluar newspaper cutting cakap pasal artis tak dapat royalty, artis yang veteran ni sakit pun nak duit, nak masuk hospital pun kena minta tolong orang. So the thing is, we don't want that to happen. So that's why we started cakap immediately kita we want to have our own company. And immediately almost from within 1 or 2 or 3 years kita dah try to control as much as possible kita punya lagu-lagu yang kami cipta, recording rights and stuff like that. So we study about copyright, we study about how to protect our copyright, all those intellectual property that we develop. So jadi these are the things that we when we first started, kita pun dah fikirlah macam mana kita nak pastikan kita ni bukan je satu fad lah. Kadang-kadang orang cakap bila boleh popular ni kejap je orang ingat kita ni. Dapat tahan 5 tahun tu kira bersyukurlah kan sebagai artis ni. Tapi kami dapat bertahan technically 25 years sehinggalah KRU dibubarkan sebagai kumpulan muzik oleh kerana adik saya sendiri pun nak move on. So jadi saya bukan kata apa, saya masih sayang pada group KRU tu, tapi I realise that by carrying that weight of being an artist, nak buat business susah. So that's why I also agreed to actually bubarkan kumpulan KRU that I myself can focus and do things that is related to what we plan to do in the future. I hope I answered your question, Tuan Haji.
Okay, Datuk, kita ada lagi soalan pada chat.
Terima kasih, Datuk.
Okay.
Terima kasih, Cik Azman. Okay. Assalamualaikum, Datuk. Charismatic leadership involve charming, strong interpersonal connection and persuasive skills. How does Datuk develop and maintain these skills?
Well, charming tu tak tahulah, dari dulu orang suka
Anugerah Allah lah tu.
Alhamdulillah. Yalah, jadi budak-budak kan, masa I budak jadi cikgu-cikgu pun sayang I kan. Kawan-kawan kat sekolah pun dia boleh nominate saya nak jadi ketua darjah lah semua kan.
Okay.
So adalah orang tak suka juga, bukan semua orang suka saya, tapi the point is I try to maintain that kind of approachable character lah. The thing is not to be confrontational, aggressive. Of course, I'm not a person basically kalau orang buat salah 2-3 kali, I will just biar kepala kena pijak. No. Kalau I give the warning, ample warning, dan kalau tak boleh juga, tak apalah. Even my staff pun yang cakap kalau tak elok, kalau you tak boleh kerja kat KRU, tak apalah, move on lah. I mean, you can start your own business, mana tahu kita boleh berniaga sama-sama, things like that lah. So maybe because of that, people don't, I try to minimize my enemies lah. I tahu orang kadang-kadang, I tak buat apa-apa pun tak suka I juga. Kadang-kadang ada perception, ada tanggapan, apa strategi kawan ni kan. But I try to keep myself positive, fikiran positif, not to react to it in a negative way. Bersangka baiklah. Kan? Jadi cuba tonjol that image. And of course, to persuade people juga. Kadang-kadang is the word is empathy lah. Macam mana diorang, I cuba bagi diorang faham macam mana apa yang saya lalui, ataupun saya sendiri pun cuba memahami apa diorang lalui, ataupun I will try to pitch this to our leaders, especially pemimpin-pemimpin kita, menteri ke apa ke, even ada dapat peluang bercakap dengan orang, even the PM. We try to get them to understand, imagine if you're in that position. Kan? Jadi in a way that this person can understand the problems that this person is facing.
Yeah. True. Soalan tadi daripada Cik Jamaluddin, Datuk, UiTM. Soalan seterusnya daripada Ahmad Alias. Datuk, adakah umur memainkan peranan dalam pemilihan untuk menjadi pemimpin sesebuah organisasi?
Tidak. Saya tidak percaya bahawa itu adalah faktor. Tapi bermain peranan dari segi pengalaman lah. Kalau pengalaman dia tak cukup, usia muda pun susah sikit. Tapi kalau dia pengalaman dia banyak membaca ilmu yang ada, dan dia juga ada karisma untuk memimpin. Tak semestinya dia akan menghadkan peluang dia untuk jadi pemimpin sebuah organisasi. Macam saya pun dalam organisasi saya semua, kebanyakan kali saya paling muda pun. So jadi even masa saya dekat IFPI Asia Pacific pun sama juga. Not only I'm the only Asian, tapi the board members are all senior, like 50-60-year-old Caucasian guys, Mak Saleh. So the thing is, considering that I was back then was 40 something. So jadi I rasa macam umur tidak main peranan.
How do you manage them, Datuk? They're more senior than you.
Because again lah, ada cara dia cakap dengan orang tua macam mana, cakap dengan orang muda macam mana. Even orang tua pun ada kadang-kadang very trendy. Tak payah nak jaga cakap
Direct
macam mana kan. Jadi ada cara dia. So everybody is different, and you try to adapt to that person punya, bagi dia orang comfortable. I think that's the key word lah. I think I like to make people comfortable talking to me. Jadi by making them comfortable talking, then in a way you can persuade juga.
Okay.
With the good agenda lah. Tak adalah anything negative about persuasion to be negative and like that.
Yeah. And as a leader, ini daripada Puan Hashimah. As a leader, have you ever made a bad decision? How did you live with it or move on?
Of course, we make mistakes. And then I learn from those mistakes. I try to improve on that by having more control over my decisions. Contohnya, for example, green lighting a film. To start a film, it costs a lot of money to produce films. And kadang-kadang kita buat cara kita lah, kita suka macam tu, kita nak buat macam tu. Tetapi it's good to actually get feedbacks at a very early stage. So to say that, okay, what is wrong about it? Don't feel so personal about it, because they're helping you. Bila they criticize your work, that means they still sayang you lah. So the thing is, that is how, instead of making a very bad mistake and putting a lot of money on it and lose money, so I'd rather actually get people to participate in that decision making.
Okay. Satu lagi daripada Cik Noriha Muhammad, UPSI. Assalamualaikum Datuk, apakah faktor-faktor yang Datuk ambil kira semasa merancang sesuatu projek yang berimpak?
Okay. First of all, it must be ada synergy to what we do. Tak ada macam tiba-tiba nak buat agriculture ke, nak buat property business ke. Dia tak ada. Dia berangkai yang berkaitan. Macam kami berkembangkan towards training programs that we do, even animation dan sebagainya pun, semuanya daripada ada kaitan daripada asal-usulnya, punca pada mana. So actually I can tell you, asal-usul daripada music juga. Because we started as a music company. Jadi dia cabang-cabang dia buka. Jadi that is one thing lah. Satu, dia ada kaitan dengan our business plan. And then to study on a high impact project, I would say that saya tengok macam mana dari segi macam kita start e-commerce punya business. Yang bagusnya buat e-commerce business ni, kalau kami ni tak ada pengalaman dalam periklanan, dalam penerbitan kandungan digital dan sebagainya, dan kita boleh bermimpi sajalah nak mulakan perniagaan seperti ini, nak bersaing dengan platform-platform macam Shopee, Lazada dan sebagainya. Tapi kalau oleh kerana kami ada kekuatan tersendiri, dan we try to build our own niche of kita punya market, dan kita ikut pakai baju ikut size sendiri lah lebih kurang. So jadi kalau bajet kita kecil, kita buat cara kecil. Kalau kita boleh besarkan, kita besarkan. Jadi I always believe that buat sesuatu tu biar start daripada kecil dulu. Dan kita start, contohnya kami buat e-commerce ni, kami dah mula about 2 years ago melalui platform yang dinamakan sebagai KRU2U. So KRU2U ni adalah platform kami buat merchandise kami. Tapi sekarang ni kami dah mula berbincang dengan artis-artis lain untuk menerbitkan merchandise mereka pula. Dan pada masa sama, alang-alang dah ada platform e-commerce ni, buka je lah kepada SME yang lain. So kami pun boleh buat promotion untuk diorang juga. Jadi kami gunakan pengaruh media sosial dan digital kami untuk membantu usahawan lain pula. Jadi that is the kind of thing that is calculated, technically, is strategic, dan it leads to bigger things. So jadi saya tak tahulah KRU version 6.0 macam mana. Tapi saya rasa teknologi ni dia berubah sangat cepat. Jadi kita kena sedia.
Yeah. Soalan daripada Puan Zahra, Datuk. How do you maintain teamwork spirit among your staff? Teamwork.
Okay, I got this question yesterday. Yang masa tu ada satu forum lagi. macam mana, how do I keep my team motivated? Because kita ni syarikat SME, kami bukannya public company ataupun dapat pelaburan daripada luar negara. I mean, we have investors tapi bukanlah investors yang banyak dan besar. So jadi we have limited resources. So jadi when we hire our team members, technically we look at dia punya dia punya mapping for them ni, macam mana dia punya role that they can play in organisation. Contohnya main bola lah. Kalau dia bagus main defender, jangan letak jadi striker. Nanti dia fail. So jadi the best is actually letak dia sebagai defender and then how to build that team around the strengths and weaknesses of the individuals yang kami ada. So no one's perfect. Saya sendiri pun tak perfect. Saya tahu ada kelemahan saya. Saya perlukan ada team members tu bantu saya, bantu kelemahan saya. So the same goes building that the teamwork. Macam mana kita cakap, okay, that's actually your role. Kita satu team, ada orang main goalkeeper, ada main jadi defender, ada midfield, ada jadi striker. Jadi tapi kita satu team, kita menang sama-sama. And then my team, I nampak because that we're doing creative content, kebanyakannya budak-budak muda yang kerja company kami ni. So they feel very passionate bila buat setiap satu project tu. They feel that they play a part in whatever we do as KRU. So jadi I cakap always think about it lah. Kita produk dan juga kandungan yang kita terbitkan ni, our followers expect certain standard. Jadi kita kena pastikan achieve that level of quality. Tapi pada masa sama juga they can participate in that. Because dulu Yusri Adri buat sendiri-sendiri. So zaman tu dah tak ada dah. Ada Yusri Adri bantu juga dalam penerbitan. Tetapi bukanlah mereka saja. Ramai lagi yang terlibat.
Okay. Jika ada soalan secara terus kepada Datuk Norman, silakan. Okay, sementara menunggu saya ada satu soalan, Datuk.
Silakan.
Dulu kita tengok biasanya pustakawan adalah seorang wanita yang telah berumur, yang memakai cermin mata dan juga ada sanggul di kepala. Tetapi zaman sekarang kita melihat ramai pustakawan muda dan juga ketua pustakawan juga dalam kalangan orang muda-muda yang kompeten dalam IT, digital, teknologi dan sebagainya. Bagaimanakah ketua pustakawan atau timbalan ketua pustakawan boleh meningkatkan lagi visibility ataupun keterlihatan mereka? Contohnya, kalau kita pergi satu majlis, orang ramai, bercampurlah komuniti dan sebagainya, bagaimana kita boleh tahu itu Puan Zarah, ketua pustakawan UTHM. Bagaimana nak lebih visible tu, Datuk?
Ya. Pada pandangan saya lah, saya rasa sekarang ni lagi peluang tu lagi cerah. Kerana kalau sekarang ni semuanya dalam menggunakan mobile phone. Everything semua accessible through mobile phone. Dan platform-platform digital tu main peranan yang sangat besar. So jadi sama ada kita tak perlu keluar TV dah sekarang sangat pun. The thing is kalau kita rajin di platform-platform media sosial dan even perpustakaan itu sendiri lebih agresif ke arah pendigitalan, ia akan lebih banyak, lebih mudahkan lagi lah untuk menampilkan kepimpinan tokoh-tokoh daripada sebagai pustakawan lah. Itu pandangan saya rasa. Tapi like I said lah, kita sekarang ni the aura of leadership semua sekali pun kadang-kadang you have to do a little bit more extra. So saya bagi contoh lah, saya sendiri pun pernah bekerjasama dengan Datuk Seri Alif Shukri, Datuk Seri Vida. So mereka datang ke kami buat lagu. Ya, buat lagu-lagu mereka dan memang viral lah, berjuta-juta, puluh juta. So jadi they themselves sebagai usahawan, kalau dia usahawan biasa je, dia tak ada cari angle dia, macam mana dia nak menonjol, dan dia akan jadi macam usahawan SME yang biasa lain je lah. So jadi you need to think about what kind of personality dia. Bukan saya nak suruh basically you buat viral video nak gaduh-gaduh orang, tak ada. Tapi the idea is actually macam mana nak tunjulkan that persona, the kind of personality that you are. Pasal saya rasa macam persona tu satu perkataan boleh dianggap sebagai negatif dan juga positif. Persona tu kadang-kadang dibuat-buat. Kan, you akan berlakonkan sebagai watak tersebut. Tapi sebenarnya we try to emulate some good so-called good leaders, ya. Tapi macam saya rasa try to be yourself as much as possible, and mana you nak emulate tu jangan terlampau drastik sangat daripada your own personal character. So jadi that is very important. Because you cannot lie for so long lah. Sama dengan hati-hati saya pun cakap benda sama juga. Dia masuk dalam media sosial, kalau dia kata dia suka nak tunjukkan dia kasih sayang dia pasal dia tak kahwin lagi. So nak tunjuk dia punya suka pun dia tunjukkan dia bela kucing contohnya. Tapi kalau dia tak suka kucing, dia nak tunjuk dia boleh kucing. Lama-lama orang tahu juga dia tipu. So jadi kena tunjukkan persona yang sebaik-baiknya yang betul terhadap diri masing-masing lah. Jangan kita bohonglah kepada orang siapa diri kita. Kerana sudahnya zaman social media ni kejap orang boleh tahu.
How do you portray your charismatic leadership to people, Datuk?
Okay, I tak portray pun sebenarnya. Orang yang nampak macam tu. Tapi bila ada peluang-peluang macam ni, of course lah, I don't take things lightly. For example, you jemput I, at least I put on a jacket, you know. So I can pakai biasa je. The thing is, but I make an effort, you know. You minta, I cakap, I cannot actually bila kita bincang sebelum ni, my staff team members cakap, forum hari ni adalah moderated punya program. So saya bayangkan, okay lah, question and answer senang. Tapi bila diberitahu, oh ada 45-minute presentation kalau boleh nak presentation, itu harapan daripada penganjur tu. So saya kena buat juga presentation. So I have to do a bit of research and try to relate back to my own personal experience. So jadi bukan nak tunjulkan saya anything, but it's just that that's being me. So I cannot do things that is half-hearted. So jadi sama jugalah kalau di interview dekat apa di TV ke, di radio ke. But at the same time it's a bit difficult kadang-kadang sebagai nak maintain that celebrity image, because that helps us a lot to promote our company.
Yeah.
Tetapi pada masa sama nak bawa image yang serius. So jadi contohnya you tengok my Instagram, you go to my Instagram, I tak tulis pun saya sebagai Timbalan Pengurusi Finas. I don't want that, because I don't want people to think Finas is like that. Because kalau I bawa macam tu, tapi I buat pula posting kalau apa-apa pasal Finas, yang mana yang penting pada industri, I post it. But at the same time, I do not actually portray myself to be that person inside my social media, because I decided to take that responsibility pasal saya nak bantu betulkan industri dan membina landasan yang baik untuk industri. Tetapi I cannot compromise on my day-to-day business. Jadi that's why I do not actually jive that together. So try to maintain that as much as possible. Kalau contohnya kalau pakaian pun, you know, kalau pakaian sekarang ni I tak boleh terlampau too casual sekarang. I try to actually put on a jacket, at least kalau tak pakai tie pun tak apa lagi. But at least show and present that you are the kind of personality that you want to position.
Okay. Soalan daripada Cik Khairul Anwar. Apakah leadership style yang benar-benar dapat memberi impact kepada organisasi? Sila Datuk.
Leadership, the kind of leadership, I always believe in influencing your people lah, mempengaruhi mereka. Or the other word is to persuade lah juga. Tapi it's to influence people is better than instructing them. So and sometimes, you know, it allow them to participate in that decision making. Kadang-kadang kita dah tahu jawapan, tapi kita buat tanya. I do that a lot. Thing is, pasal I nak dia orang cakap dia orang idea dia orang, tak apa lah. I tak kisah kredit pun. It's not for personal glory or anything like that. Kita nak objektif tu, outcome tu jadi. So bila dia yang cakap, and dia yang nampak, dia yang cakap, so dia contribute to that decision making, that will, the bond to that decision is actually stronger than being instructed. And kadang-kadang kita kena pastikan dia orang faham lah juga apa the roles that they're taking. So jadi if they clearly know, they know what their position that they're supposed to do, it makes things much easier lah. As a leader, you must tell your subordinates, you know, what is expected of their contribution from them as a subordinate.
Okay, soalan daripada Encik Hazmir Zainal. Bagaimana Datuk menilai bakat seseorang? Apakah beza bakat dengan persona?
Itu saya cakap, persona ni kadang-kadang orang boleh buat-buat.
Ada negatif, ada yang positif.
Persona tu itu karakteristik tu.
What we go for positif punya ni.
Okay, let's go on a positive angle. The persona. So jadi assuming that this person is consistent in positioning that person to be that person. So jadi kita menilai bakat dia, tengok dia punya kemampuan lah. Ada yang boleh, contohnya kalau kita cakap dalam sebagai, okay, kalau cakap pasal penyanyi pelakon senang. Kita tengok dia boleh kita buat screen test, kita boleh buat audition, kita tahu dia boleh nyanyi tak boleh nyanyi. Dia berlakon tak boleh berlakon kan. Ataupun adakah dia boleh berlakon dan boleh menyanyi tapi kena train sikit. So jadi kita kena tengok, kena nilai macam mana. Adakah jauh sangat, tempo pun tak boleh ikut ni. Dia beat macam mana kan, dia tak boleh ikut. Ni susah ni, payah nak ajar nyanyi ni. Jadi the point is, this is actually examples when you talk about singing and acting. Tetapi you talk about leadership dari segi in an organisation ataupun kaki tangan, khususnya kaki tangan awam. Macam my experience dekat Finas pun, I nampak that there are certain people ada flair on presenting, ada some people are back end operations, some people are very good nak jadi nak on to apa yang penguatkuasaan undang-undang dan sebagainya. So the thing is the dynamics is there. Because you got to look at dia punya skill sets yang ada, cara dia, adakah dia orang yang contohnya sebagai orang yang penguatkuasaan, tak payahlah friendly sangat kot. Pandangan saya lah, you're carrying the authority kan. Kalau belum apa-apa lagi jom minum teh apa semua susahlah kita buat kerja. You should actually be maintain that position. So okay, I'm here to investigate. I want to check your activity penggambaran contohnya. So you got to actually be firm about it.
More serious.
Tak payah nak duduk-duduk pun. Kira cakap terima kasih je lah tempat jemput. Tak apalah saya datang nak buat tugas saya saja. So these are the things yang I would say that different people, different characteristics tu memang boleh letak di organisasi kita bergantung kepada bakat yang ada dalam dia orang. Jadi kadang-kadang dia punya cara dia fikir, cara dia operate. Contohnya orang finance, selalunya orang finance dengan HR ni pendiam sikit. Dia tak banyak cakap. Kan? Jadi memang patut pun pasal banyak rahsia disimpan. So jadi these are the things yang kita tengoklah the character of those talents dan kita tengok mana tempat yang sesuai letak kat dia.
They need to focus and so on kan Datuk. Okay, satu lagi soalan daripada Puan Anna Michael from Sabah. Datuk, in your opinion, which is more okay in a leader, charisma or personality? Which is more for a leader?
I think charisma.
They have charisma or personality?
Charisma will definitely be always personality. Itu kadang-kadang you can be likable but you may not know a lot of things. Jadi as a leader, you need to know that you can trust your leader, that leader, you akan respect that leader as well. Because kalau you tak respect that leader with that, you tahu that your leader tak ada knowledge, you tahu leader you tak ada charisma ataupun tak ada ability to lead, macam mana you nak buat kerja untuk the leaders, kan? So you need to actually, kerana personality memanglah dia glamour, tapi boleh ke dia carry that responsibility? So I would say that charisma is more important. That's why I said more important the substance of a leader tu is very important. Yeah.
Okay, another question Datuk from Muhammad Zaid Idris. Datuk, how do you add charm in leadership? In the leadership.
Okay.
Ini
Charm ni.
Bonus question kot.
Bonus question.
Yeah.
Yeah lah. The thing is, the word charm ni actually leads to get people to like you lah. Yeah. So to like you as a leader and stuff like that. So jadi, like I said earlier before, that as a leader you need to be friendly with your team members. You need to bond with them. You need to be able to sometimes even like for example, there's one particular political leader, I will not mention names lah, tapi dia boleh ingat nama orang tau. Dia boleh ingat, okay, and then dia boleh ingat even nama bapa saya. Jadi benda tu jadi dia ada plus point kat situ kan. That's how you charm. Basically you ingat. Kalau contoh you ada team members, you ingat nama anak dia ke, dia sekolah kat mana. So little things like that help. So jadi kadang-kadang kita sibuk-sibuk kita tak fikir semua tu, tapi nak beli jiwa tu, sometimes you can probably buy them food, makan semua sekali semua, tapi bila you ada personal touch like that, that is probably the best lah.
Okay, daripada Puan Azhar, mengambil Finas sebagai case study, bagaimana Datuk yakin organisasi itu boleh berubah?
Okay, again lah, Finas kita ada, I realize that being there are 3 type organizations that I have led. Okay, bukan Finas tu saya tak ada leader, saya sebagai timbalan pengurusi, saya bukan pengurusi. Tapi we play, dekat board we play a role to make decisions for Finas. So to collective decision. So jadi bila jalankan tugas dekat syarikat, tugas dekat trade association dengan satu badan kerajaan, I would say it's very different. Kerana perubahan tu mungkin boleh berlaku tapi dia memerlukan masa yang lebih lah. Dia tak boleh macam immediate dan sebagainya kerana dia ada pelbagai so-called proses involved. Jadi pada masa yang sama kita kena sebagai pembentuk dasar, we have to create the vision of the industry that can happen in the next 5 to 10 years. Macam mana nak buat roadmap macam tu dan apakah dasar-dasar yang boleh kita laksanakan dan pada masa sama dalam tempoh jangka pendek. Pasal lantikan board ni dia bukannya panjang. Macam saya di dekat board ni tinggal 7 bulan je lagi dan bulan yang from June last year.
Until
I would
May
say-
next year.
But June last year, bila kami masuk, we were very busy helping the industry to address the pandemic problem. So
Okay.
jadi a lot of effort and energy went to that, you know.
Yes.
It's not so much on the long term punya activities, tapi we actually we started to seed it and to plant that kind of change. Tetapi the emphasis was given more on rescue, how to rescue the warga industri dan juga syarikat-syarikat yang ada dalam industri ni. Jadi alhamdulillah lah, saya rasa sekarang ni banyak pun, the problem of the industry is not so much tak ada peluang pekerjaan. Masalahnya mereka tak boleh nak pergi syuting. That is the main problem.
Yes.
Jadi
Because of the pandemic.
it's the pandemic, because peluang pekerjaan tu ada. Basically peluang perniagaan tu ada. TV station pun perlukan content. Dan kita lihat sekarang ni ada banyak platform-platform OTT seperti macam Netflix ke Disney Plus dan sebagainya. Mereka perlukan content juga, local content. So the thing is, then we see that the standard of production will increase. So jadi I would say that the change of the industry, especially led by Finas, you can see the bigger impact, insyaAllah, hopefully next year lah. Dari segi apabila perancangan tu dapat dilancarkan.
Okay. Ada lagi soalan Datuk? Datuk ada masa lagi ya Datuk?
Boleh.
Are you in a rush?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Datuk, daripada Puan Zahara, apakah faktor yang diambil kira dalam penilaian risiko sebelum pelaksanaan sesuatu projek? Risk management.
Yeah, risk management. I think this is a common punya subject that we have to think of the pitfalls lah. What are the potential problems that we will encounter? I even asked my team bila nak launch e-commerce platform ni, what are so-called the potential pitfalls so that our user experience will not be affected. So how do we benchmark ourselves with other existing players so that we will not be seen as the second best or whatever. Jadi these are the things that we need to look into. And then untuk mengambil kira all this, of course kita kena ada plan A, B and C lah. If things start to happen, how do we actually, at least we start to talk about it now, so that kita tak adalah bila problem to happen baru terfikir kan. So these are the things that we need to do and think of potential pitfalls lah and the problems that we may have when we launch something new lah.
Okay. Daripada Puan Yusrina, how do you award your staff good behavior ataupun contributions?
I would say it's a combination actually. Good behavior includes teamwork, leadership and so on. And at the same time, contribution is actually the kind of financial contribution or even creativity dia macam mana kan. So or even meeting deadlines and so on. So the reward will come naturally. There's individual capacity ada. Sometimes it is outcome based rewards pun ada. We hope that we can start to implement company-wide so-called incentives as well, because we used to do a lot of activities with our staff, especially untuk untuk bonus, untuk company trip, untuk annual dinner and so on. So the thing is, we hope we can do that again. Of course, we also face our own challenges juga during the COVID too. So jadi we had to make a lot of adjustments. Tapi alhamdulillah that we survived that phase, and I hope we can actually start to rebuild the next coming years.
Okay, insyaAllah. Daripada Nuraini Mukhtar, honestly Datuk, you must be honest ya Datuk. Parents grooming will help build confidence. Do you agree? And what do you imagine at the mention of the word librarians in your mind? Another one is grooming appearance yang bagaimana yang Datuk suggest untuk librarians. Mungkin pihak Puan Nuraini daripada UIA akan menjemput Datuk untuk menunjukkan gaya dan penggayaan yang unggul untuk pustakawan. Transformation of librarians ni Datuk. Sila Datuk.
Honestly, again lah, maybe what Puan Siti cakap tadi pasal the perception.
Confidence.
I think actually it's something that you always cakap pasal librarian, you kait dengan buku, and then you tend to be, bukan nak kata technically you're not seen to be very sociable, and then not happening kan. It's very strict and by the book semua sekali kan. So it depends on what kind of aura and the persona that future librarians would like to have, you know. So like I said lah, macam penguatkuasa dekat Finas, takkan dia nak jadi orang yang macam nak terlampau friendly, macam pergi buat marketing, kan? So jadi there must be certain kind of personality that actually should be reflected as someone being organized, someone being forward thinking, who's actually a thinker as well. Would be someone yang people would see that with that high respect, that you're like a walking dictionary jugalah. You know, so basically you know like everything about what you have, that you can assist your stakeholders, especially those who want to actually get access to the content, which I don't want to call it books anymore. So because it's content, so jadi at least you can refer them. Check, okay, can I advise you? You can actually have access. Why don't you read this, or why do you read that? Because they may want to ask, okay, any referrals and stuff like that. So knowing your product and knowing what you're offering is very important. Macam saya, kalau saya belajar pun saya akan cakap, okay, I nak buat buku pasal apa nama forensic accounting, for example.
Yeah.
I tanya, maybe you can recommend. You cakap immediately, okay, you can choose this and that.
Yeah, the references.
Jadi cepat, jadi kita tak payah. Then you cakap, okay, but if you want something like this, American way macam ni, or you nak UK macam ni. So in a way that, you know, there's many ways how you gain knowledge, kan. So I would say that again lah, the ability to communicate with your stakeholders well, and to know your product. Kalau I cakap kat you, tak tahulah, mungkin check lah section kat sana, section kat sini. Macam I think that is not being passionate about your work lah.
Yeah, we must know our business.
Yes,
especially during this pandemic. We offer a lot of online resources, Datuk, actually.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
correct.
to our students, to our lecturers and so on.
Yeah.
And we assist them in their research,
Yeah.
all through online. Social media pun banyak juga.
But one more thing I'd like to highlight is also to allow again gain more data out of the so-called readership of those books. So because the thing is, sekarang ni budak-budak dia tengok filem pun, dia bukannya semua tengok promo saja, dia tengok review juga. So the thing is, macam mana how you can use technology to help so-called guided decisions lah by those people who want to get access to the books. So jadi I think that is also important juga. Data-driven so-called platforms that can help them to make decisions.
Okay. Ini adalah soalan terakhir daripada Puan Haslina. Dalam menghasilkan kreativiti dalam produk ataupun perkhidmatan, selain sumber keuangan dan bakat staf, apakah faktor lain yang perlu diambil kira, Datuk? Sila.
I think timing is very important.
Timing,
because the thing is, kadang-kadang maybe you're not ready for, people are not ready for your offerings. Kan? Macam kami nak buat e-commerce ni, tahun 2002 kami dah mula dah. But e-commerce was not big back then. So we announced collaboration with a few banks actually. We announced kita nak buat produk-produk kita jual secara online, but the take-up rate was very low. So jadi timing is very important. You know, dari segi bila you launch that platform. And then of course, style lain tu basically the idea of that business. Yeah, the idea must be something unique, unique kind of offering that is actually not currently available. Yeah, of course the manpower is important, the funding is important, and then of course the SOP, the operations, the system. Macam mana you nak organize your company to make sure that everything is in place. Dari segi daripada SOP dia punya term of reference and so on. So the documentation part is equally important as the business idea.
Okay.
Puan Siti.
Saya ada lagi soalan.
Ya, Arina dari USM.
Sila.
Assalamualaikum Datuk. Saya ambil kesempatan ni lah nak bertanya sikit tentang kita punya most of the session ada cerita tentang humanizing. Dan pagi tadi pun cerita tentang humanizing, macam Maybank buat another step forward untuk humanizing the banking punya sektor. So kalau macam film production, most of the time we're talking about human juga kan?
Of course, yes.
Human. So how kita boleh humanize daripada pengalaman Datuk lah, daripada bidang macam arts macam ni kan, performance. How library boleh ambil step untuk humanizing kita punya library, for example, ataupun memang most of the time kita akan tengok lebih kepada tools lah,
people's grooming apa semua tu, how to become librarians of the future for example. Macam tu kita kena tengok. And at the same time saya ada satu lagi, saya ambil kesempatan ni nak tanya dekat Datuk. Kalau kata KRRU selalu saya tengok, saya akan look forward untuk tengok teknologi. Why selalu your advance, nak tengok kalau macam cerita Cicak Man ke apakah. Itu teknologi yang kata sebelum ni tak ada di Malaysia, but you brought it in lah to Malaysia. Dari segi filem tu kalau kita nak tengok, kita tengok dari segi filem, kualiti filem Melayu lah. Compared to other kita punya neighbor punya filem Indonesia and Thailand, they have a kind of approach which is sometimes they touch kita punya sometimes dia punya touching dia extra.
Okay.
Yang ada mungkin orang lain different perception lah, but for me kalau kata kita tengok kenapa kita boleh tengok cerita Indonesia tu dia keluarkan tajuk yang sama tapi untuk part 2, part 1 people want to follow kan. In Malaysia sometimes benda tu tak jadi, maybe because of the dia punya dia punya bacaan ke, dia punya rujukan ke, dia punya homework yang dia buat ke, macam tu. Nak minta ni lah Datuk punya pendapat.
Saya anggap ada 3 soalan tadi. Satu pasal humanizing the so-called operations and business environment. How you operate. Keduanya teknologi, ketiganya content. Tapi soalan nombor 1 dengan 2 tu saya rasa boleh berkait. So we're in the era of technology, gunakan big data kan, and cloud computing and so on. We talk about humanizing, as I mentioned earlier. Sometimes benda tu macam I mentioned about this particular politician, boleh ingat nama bapa orang pun, and then dia boleh memorize. Perkara tu sebenarnya boleh dibantu dengan teknologi sebenarnya. So how you humanize your capture the data of your students, for example, ataupun anybody who access your library lah. So the thing is, you by capturing certain data, their preferences on certain books, like for example platforms macam YouTube, for example, they can measure your pattern of consumption, and they can recommend videos to you by technically knowing you as a person digitally. So jadi hence why I think the investment in technology is important to actually operate better, or the future libraries and should have that kind of ability to track data. That those data that consider basically whether this person, you tahu, okay, this person umur dia lahir pada tahun 1982, and then dia punya favorite books dia ni, dia graduan ni. So jadi you know that person, and technically you can humanize that whether it's secara virtual ataupun secara physical. Because if that person goes there to the library and you buka nama dia, dia boleh nampak dia punya preferences dia. So that is about, again lah, grooming of the librarians and stuff like that is one part of it. But I think about how humanizing it, you can use technology to humanize your service as well. So this is actually very, very important. So I rasa soalan pertama dan kedua tu berkaitan. So soalan ketiga tu pasal content. Kalau content tu, if you talk about having that kind of certain emotion to certain productions, especially from abroad, compared to local ni, sebenarnya bukan nak kata apa, tapi selalunya kita content dekat peringkat tempatan ni, we see more of our content, whether good or bad, kita tend to see it. Because tak banyak, so that means ada 10 filem dibuat, maybe you see maybe 8 out of 10. Tapi kalau foreign content, technically only the best ones get to travel. Ini Hollywood punya filem kan, dia terbitkan lebih kurang 1000 filem dikeluar di pawagam di sana, dekat US. Tapi yang sampai dekat sini maybe about 100 to 200 titles saja. So this is the cream of the crop. So jadi you tend to bond with it better, because these are technically they are successful in the domestic market and they come here. So perkara keduanya is actually about kita punya content ni. I think if you want to measure emotions in a particular film or content, is that kita punya challenge is that the one yang appeals most to the Malaysian audience normally is comedy ataupun horror, ataupun lagi bagus horror and comedy. So jadi macam mana the emotion that you can trigger out of this kind of content is to get people to gelak ataupun rasa takut. To rasa jiwa dia nak rasa sedih, nak menitis air mata. Bukan tak ada filem kita macam tu, ada. Tapi normally genre drama ni dia kurang sikit dapat sambutan. Melainkan drama TV lah. Dan drama TV you boleh tengok lah. Benda tu tengok free pun. Tapi kalau nak buat untuk dibuatkan dalam satu filem, nak dapatkan that kind of film being created based on a budget that is actually suitable for cinema screening, that's a challenge. Tak ramai orang nak invest movies like that. So jadi this is the challenge lah. Contohnya macam kalau Indonesia dia banyak buat even filem-filem melodrama yang berkaitan dengan agama. Banyak dia keluarkan. And then the thing is kadang-kadang boleh sampai ke Malaysia juga. Tapi the reality is that dekat sana it's actually a genre that is considered safe. So banyak orang boleh buat. Tapi dekat sini genre tu tak selamat. Kalau kita buat macam tu, kami pernah buat filem berjudul 29 Februari. Cerita tu the whole idea is to portray semangat kekitaan di kalangan warga negara Malaysia yang the journey of that person that can see the loved ones to pass away because dia punya journey. Kita buat ini fiction yang cerita lah. Dia hanya meningkat umur dia setiap 4 tahun. Maksudnya dia proses penuaan dia lambat. Umur 100 tahun pun dia nampak rupa dia 25 tahun. So jadi filem tu gagal dekat box office. Pasal orang tak boleh terima. Satu, maybe it's so outlandish the storyline. Secondly, kita try to trigger that kind of emotion pun, people lebih seronok tengok cerita komedi lah. Kita tengok cerita horror dan komedi ni. Jadi itu yang masalah dekat Malaysia ni. So jadi kita nak buat genre macam tu, kita kena fikir juga 2 kali lah sebelum kita buat.
Kita kena ubah mindset pemikiran rakyat kita, Datuk, supaya buat cerita yang boleh berfikir. Lebih banyak berfikir. Kalau dilihat dari segi genre yang menang anugerah festival filem, kebanyakan genrenya adalah genre drama. Dia bukan genre ada hantu kat situ, ada animasi ke, ada special effects ke apa semua, tak ada. Cerita dia raw, it's very story based. Tapi cerita macam tu dekat tempatan susah. It's very difficult. Jadi investor pun tak nak buat. Jadi itu yang macam mana kita nak buat. Tapi kami ada buat lah. InsyaAllah kami akan buat terbitkan satu filem setahun bergenre macam tu. Jadi kami harap jangan kita rugi lagi lah. Macam kami pernah lalu. InsyaAllah kita semua pustakawannya akan support.
InsyaAllah.
Okey, satu lagi soalan. Terima kasih Puan. Daripada Puan Maziana Hashim. Okay, how do you manage people at work knowing the fact that you cannot please everyone?
Yeah.
It happens actually in any organization.
All the time.
Yeah.
So again lah, I think it's managing expectation, and I think I use the word empathy a few times here. I always get them to say, you faham tak I punya perasaan macam mana? I try to get them to be fair to me, kan? So jadi macam mana kita sebagai leader, sebagai investor, kita letak duit setiap bulan, pastikan gaji dibayar on time dan sebagainya. So but at the same time having all this to deal with this pandemic and stuff like that. So jadi get them to understand that it's not easy to be where I am, So the thing is they need to understand dari segi the challenges that we have. Jadi to manage the people that we know at work, the fact that kita cannot please everyone, talk about promotion ke, talk about pay rise ke. Again, I selalu cakap ini rezeki dia, ni dia boleh buat kat sini, kelebihan dia kat sini. So jadi at the same time again lah, to actually get them to empathize pula on the company side, why certain people or certain individuals are given certain opportunities. Jadi they need to understand that it's not because of pilih kasih ke apa ke, or dia ni kuat bodek ke. For me bodek I tak layan. Yang pentingnya basically hasil kerja dia and how consistent they are. And kadang-kadang I tahu some of my good people in the, I'm not saying everybody in my organisation semua perfect. Ada juga banyak yang banyak silap-silap dan sebagainya. Dan benda tu reality dan dia ada ups and downs dia. Macam you tengok apa kalau even in sports also, kalau bola sepak pun sama juga. Manchester United bukan selalu menang pun. Ada juga kalah, kadang-kadang sakit hati kita tengok kan. Tapi reality je, we're dealing with the dynamics of things happen, and sometimes you need to reward certain people, you need to warn certain people, but yang pentingnya sikap tu. I think you got to show a positive attitude that you always want to learn and you want to improve yourself. Jadi orang macam tu yang selalu berjaya. Orang yang bahasa tak kisah, orang yang bahasa yang kalau balik kepada analogi bola sepak ataupun kalau cakap pasal most ladies yang ada kat sini ni, bola jaring lah. Tunggu bola, sikap tunggu bola tu. You should, I mean, kalau dalam bola sepak, you should go for the ball, you kejar the bola. Bukannya you tunggu bola sampai masuk kat kaki baru you nak berlari. So this is the thing is that is actually something that we have to encourage people to build up. And I like to work with young people, new people, especially budak-budak baru daripada universiti. Semangat dia tinggi. And bila dia masuk, they change the dynamics of the organisation. Especially mana-mana yang ada kita consider as deadwood, yang susah nak gerak. Kat mana aku dah letak dia lagi ni? You know, dia dah kat situ dah lama dah. Dia sendiri tak boleh nak progress kan. Tapi bila ada individu yang baru dan sebagainya, kadang-kadang it add the dynamics of the environment of the organisation. Jadi I think we always need to have that, and I think sessions like this also is also important, because when you talk to people, you understand other people's issues and how they deal with the problem. It also helps you to how you manage your own organisation.
Yes, yeah, and young people normally they have creative ideas, kan?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Tapi diorang sekarang ni lebih emotional daripada orang-orang yang Gen X dan Gen Y.
Must be the pandemic, Datuk. Okay.
Sorry, I like to say one more thing. Yang satu benda yang very important yang kita cakap pasal mental health ni.
Yeah. Yes.
So I like to emphasize on that, because sekarang ni people are more aware about dia punya the balance of life, yeah. So the thing is not about just working. Kerja tu you mungkin boleh cari kerja tempat lain, ataupun you boleh sebagai majikan pun boleh cari orang lain. Tapi macam mana how you create that balance of the wellness or mental health ni, bagaimana dia rasa yang dia boleh buat yang terbaik. Jadi saya balik kepada something yang kita sebagai pemimpin ni, we need to know where their strengths are, kat mana dia punya kekuatan dia. So jadi kalau sekiranya kita tahu dia tak boleh buat sesuatu tu, kita akan rosakkan dia juga. Kita fikir dia performer dekat sini. Contohnya macam kalau balik kepada bola sepak lah. Saya suka cakap macam tu pasal saya faham sangat bola sepak. Orang tu bagus jadi defender, kita letak jadi striker. Dia tak boleh score goal, dia frust, dia akan rasa macam stress. Because kita tak ikut dia punya so-called the strength of that person. So jadi walaupun kita berharap dia boleh buat jadi striker, dia boleh score goal, tapi tak tentu lagi dia boleh. Maybe kita kena ada that kind of dialogue with them that, you know, dia boleh cuba. Tapi kalau sekiranya tak boleh, dia ada backup plan, dia boleh balik kepada tempat asalnya. So that is something that we need to make sure that they need to understand that in order for us to achieve our success as a leader, and instead of them giving stress to you, because ni kan dia orang fail pun you fail, you see. So jadi the thing is you need them to be successful, and you need them to be able to deliver their work with minimal supervision and for them to excel. And we need to make sure that they don't have that kind of mental stress to come to work. Contohnya dia rasa macam berat di hati nak pergi ke office. Kan? Cakap kalau macam tu, you dah rasa macam tu, baik you resign je lah. Kan? No point. Lagi baik kita jadi kawan-kawan. Lagi baik kalau you buat niaga, kita buat niaga sama-sama. Tapi the point is, kalau you dah rasa berat datang, baik jangan. So because that's part and parcel of the so-called managing stress, managing the strength of the individual through dia punya dia punya mental punya strength dia sendirilah. Jadi we try to create that positive environment that bila kita create that stress in them, they will create back stress for you in the future. Jadi macam mana kita nak manage that, I think lain orang lain caranya, but I'm sure you know your people. So jadi how to deal with people is also another art and also another science lah.
Yeah.
Datuk.
Okay, sila.
Yes,
satu soalan lagi pada saya daripada
Cik Azman penutup.
Datuk cakap pasal orang muda kan. Datuk cakap pasal leader yang mesti open minded semua kan. Apa pandangan Datuk tentang seorang leader ni, dia beranggapan orang muda ni macam satu ancaman kepada dia. Sebab dia dah leader, mungkin dalam konteks ada yang macam Datuk cakap lah tadi, kadang-kadang bila ada sentimen macam tu kan, orang-orang muda ni kadang malas lah.
Yeah.
Jadi what you think about that kind of leader? Because untuk menjaga diri dia, kadang-kadang dia deny tentang orang-orang muda ni punya pandangan. Because for me, a good leader adalah seorang yang menyediakan successor yang bagus untuk kesinambungan apa yang berlaku pada organisasi tersebut. That is what I think about a leader.
Betul.
Walaupun macam mana kejayaan dia pun, sebab saya pernah duduk bersama dengan Tun Mahathir. Tun Mahathir cakap satu je, I fail to give you the successor yang boleh membawa Malaysia ke lebih yang lebih maju lagi selepas saya. So that means I fail, I bukan berjaya. Sebab I tidak berjaya untuk melahirkan successor yang bagus. Macam itulah lebih kurang kan. So off record lah yang tadi statement tadi. Tapi what you think about obat leader yang macam itu?
Kita kena tunggu Cik Azman, kita kena tunggu Datuk Norman jadi Perdana Menteri.
Tak ada, kau jauh. Takkan
Okay,
kau.
Datuk, what you think
Sila
about that?
Datuk, sila.
Saya rasa leaders like that is very harmful to any organisation. Ya, tak kira lah organisasi itu kerajaan ke, parti politik ke, ataupun SME ataupun kerja di multinational ataupun dekat JLC. Kerana leaders like this, and sebagai yang, okay, for me, I hold that position as a CEO of the company, and the thing is, technically, I call the shots. So jadi, if anybody like that, I will try, of course, I can identify talent, I sendiri boleh nampak. I selalu cakap dengan the leader, I don't see that in my staff lah juga. Tak ada orang nak tutup-tutupkan peluang-peluang budak baru ni. I don't see that in my organisation. Tetapi I know of this kind of things, especially banyak dekat politics lah, because I pun pernah campur ramai orang politik ni. Jadi the thing is, kadang-kadang cara macam tu sebenarnya it destroys its own party lah, ataupun di organisation sendiri. Because kita kena selalu fikir bahawa kalau sebagai perniagaan ataupun satu organisasi, kita tak perlu takut dengan bayang-bayang kita sendiri. Budak tu bagus, dia akan take your position maybe like 5 years later or even 10 years later. You must see yourself, after that you're going to be in different positions. Maybe you become board of directors in the organisation ke, ataupun you may start your own business. So the thing is, these are the things that you don't need to be afraid of your own bayang-bayang. In fact, they need, macam saya cakap lah, so kalau dia orang ni bagus, in fact, kalau dia perform, you perform. Kalau dia tak perform, you tak perform. You end up doing their work. And kadang-kadang kalau bisa you stop them from progressing, it is actually a virus to the others. Dia kata, alah tak payahlah, sudah-sudah kalau aku buat lebih-lebih pun bukannya dapat recognition, kena pancung lagi. So that is the kind of thing that the problem will go back to yourself. You sendiri sebagai leader akan ada masalah balik. So dia takkan you nak buat kerja you dah buat 5-10 tahun dulu. Because budak-budak ni yang akan take over in the future, and you must believe that you punya rezeki ada dibuka di pintu cara lain pula. Tak perlu rasa macam, oh terancam lepas ni saya tak dapat jawatan lagi dah, habislah. No, I don't think that should be the way lah. And furthermore, sampai bila kita nak bekerja pun? Because for me, I myself pun, I have my own target. I cakap kalau boleh, I boleh nak bersara, umur 55, I nak bersara kalau 55. Because I'm turning 50 next year. So jadi, I hope that the younger generation yang buat skrip, buat filem sekarang ni, I even ask my because I buat lagu tau, I still write songs. Tapi kadang-kadang I rasa risau kalau I buat lagu ni relevan ke kepada budak-budak yang nak dengar radio lagu sekarang ni. Kan? I encourage, I cakap okay, you buat, I guide je, I cakap okay, I nak cerita dia macam ni tapi you buat cara you. So we got one song coming up soon. Memang I suruh budak-budak 18 tahun, budak-budak 20 tahun buat lagu tu. Bukan I tak nak royalty tu. I tahu I boleh dapat royalty tu kalau I buat sendiri, tapi for me, kalau I buat, mungkin tak jadi ikut macam mana cara sekarang. So this is actually why it's important to empower the younger people, because they really understand, they live and breathe the kind of consumers yang kita ada sekarang. So consumers sekarang ni, of course lah, you tengoklah umur 20 tahun hingga 40 tahun, these are the consumers. Jadi saya nak masuk 5 series, takkan saya nak tahu fikir macam budak 20 tahun nak fikir. Because tak relevan. Nanti kan cara saya fikir mungkin jauh berbeza daripada apa yang diorang fikirkan. Jadi as a leader organisation, you should encourage the performers, reward them, celebrate their success, and they feel that they are indebted to you juga, because dia kata you are as a mentor to him and then or her. Jadi dia pun sendiri akan sentiasa cakap okay dengan hormatnya daripada boss you, that kalau tak kerana Tuan Haji Azman ni, saya takkan berjaya sekarang ni. And that should be the way. In fact, rezeki to you akan datang cara lain. Don't need to worry about that.
Terima kasih Datuk.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Ada
Assalamualaikum
lagi?
Datuk.
Okay, sila.
Waalaikumsalam.
Rugaya, sila.
Okay, saya Rugaya daripada USM. Tadi Datuk ada mention mengenai right person at the right place based on dia punya strength and weakness kan. So, berapa lama tempoh yang sepatutnya kita letakkan dia di satu-satu position ataupun jawatan tersebut, sebab macam pagi tadi kita dengar daripada Tan Sri, staff yang memulakan tugas untuk satu-satu tempat tu, dia punya performance untuk setahun hingga beberapa tahun tu memang dia akan perform very good, and untuk certain period dia akan down. So
Yeah.
what is your opinion?
I agree that it's not easy to keep the level of consistency. Tapi saya biasanya I give my the timeline that I give to my team is always reviewed every 3 months. Every 3 months yang boleh bagi good indicator. So the first 3 months, that's why kadang orang cakap the first 100 days, kan? So kita tengok semangat tu macam mana bila start 100 days tu macam mana dia mulakan. Lepas tu dia ada milestone yang lain pula. Jadi kami confirm staff selalunya daripada bulan ke-4 hingga ke bulan ke-6. So jadi kalau tak perform juga tapi kita rasa masih lagi mungkin dia ada show commitment tapi kerja dia tak sampai lagi ke apa ke, kadang-kadang bagi peluang bagi extension lagi. So but normally not more than 1 year lah. Kalau 1 year tu dah rasanya dia tak boleh pergi dah. Tapi kalau mereka-mereka yang mula-mula high performance dan kemudiannya dia start to slow down, then we need to realize apa benda yang jadi problem ni. Is it them or is it you? Or is it the organisation? So the thing is kita kena kaji. Saya sendiri kadang-kadang bila saya tengok kalau perkara tu masalah tu berulang melibatkan 2-3 staff, benda sama lagi, datang balik sama problem tu. Then I cakap there must be something wrong with me or my company. Or with my is it a systemic problem that we need to address? So dekat situ kita sendiri pun kena berjiwa besar lah nak fikirkan macam mana yang mungkin pasal the environment, things have changed so much that you tak terlupa to update certain things, certain processes that you need to put in to actually improvise the system or the operations. So my take on that is that everything change, people also change. Kadang-kadang the dynamics change. Contohnya simple lah, bila dia sebelum kahwin cara dia kerja macam ni, dah kahwin cara kerja dia macam ni, bila dah ada anak lain pula kan. Jadi benda-benda dia punya dynamics of that person also, people change. And kita kena study balik, kalau sekiranya kalau dia dah tak sesuai dekat that position, you need to relook at that. Whether it's again lah, you could analyze, is it that person, is it the head or the leader of that organisation, or is it the company, or is it the organisation itself? Apa yang kita can improve on kita punya operation punya procedures, kan? Jadi to improvise, menyenangkan kerja-kerja dia, kan? Contohnya I bagi very good example, satu lagi macam my staff yang buat editing. Okay, dia buat editing dia sebab kenapa kerja dia lambat, kan? I cakap, how can I help you to make sure that you can turn around cepat sikit? Sebenarnya I nak equipment, ada processor yang baru, boleh tak kita beli ni? I cakap, kenapa tak cakap awal-awal? Kalau kena kita beli barang tu cepatkan kerja you, kita belilah, kan? Pasal itu equipment yang lama, equipment yang dah 3 tahun, 5 tahun, processor pun dah slow. Jadi benda-benda macam tu yang kita kena lihat. The performance of the staff tak semestinya semua salah dia. Sometimes it is actually something to do with the organisation as well. Sometimes the leader. Kadang-kadang leader tak bagi communication yang jelas, dia pun blur. Kita dekat atas bagi tahu, kadang-kadang middle management tak bagi tahu. Saya dah lalu ni banyak few times ni. Middle management punya problem, bukan dia basically the staff punya problem. So we need to analyse lah, and it need to be fair to them. So the thing is that, and we must understand things change all the time.
Okay, we have a great discussion.
Thank you, Datuk.
Okay.
We have a great discussion and Q&A session this afternoon. Datuk, terima kasih banyak Datuk. Untuk sedikit rumusan daripada Datuk sebelum kita mengakhiri sesi kita pada petang ini.
Saya ucap terima kasih kepada semua yang hadir pada hari ini, especially semua ketua pustakawan dan juga timbalan ketua pustakawan. Terima kasih kepada organisasi-organisasi terlibat, especially Kementerian Pekerjaan Tinggi, UTHM dan juga ACAP. Saya katakan tadi, semua tu pengalaman saya sepanjang hidup saya 49 tahun ni. Jadi I think some of you are even more experienced than me. You know better. Tapi saya berkongsi ni hanya semata-mata pengalaman dan juga berkongsi pengetahuan dan apa yang saya lalui sendirilah dengan saya lalui organisasi saya. Tapi yang pentingnya sekarang ni is always about being, and I always remain to be the same. I'm constantly passionate about what I do. So that makes
That's most important.
The most important thing is about you as a leader.
Yeah.
So kalau you are not committed anymore ataupun you are not passionate about it anymore, then it's time to move on. And because there are many things in life that you can do, because kita hidup pun bukannya forever. So we have to think about what makes you happy. Ini saya cakap pasal mental health ni.
Yeah.
So jadi the best is actually, the thing is for the organisation to succeed, you need passionate people, including especially leadership by example. The leaders must be equally passionate. So itu sajalah. Terima kasih banyak-banyak mendengar sedikit pandangan saya. Saya mohon maaf lah apa-apa salah kata, silap laku, dan mudah-mudahan dengan perbincangan pada petang ini mendatangkan banyak manfaat kepada kita semua, insya-Allah.
InsyaAllah. Terima kasih banyak Datuk. Para hadirin yang dihormati, alhamdulillah selesai sudah sesi kita pada petang ini bersama yang berbahagia Datuk Norman Abdul Halim, dengan topik leadership persona. Terima kasih banyak kepada Datuk Norman di atas pembentangan tersebut dan juga perkongsian ilmu dan kepakaran pengalaman Datuk untuk memberi manfaat kepada kita semua supaya kita boleh menjadi pemimpin yang lebih baik, mempunyai karisma, persona yang positif dan menarik. Tadi Datuk sebut leadership with substance untuk kepentingan visibility dan juga perkembangan bukan sahaja untuk diri kita tetapi kepada universiti, kepada masyarakat dan juga kepada negara. Terima kasih banyak Datuk, sangat memberi manfaat kepada kita semua pada petang ini. Saya serahkan majlis seterusnya kepada pengerusi majlis. Silakan Puan Arianti.
Terima kasih sekali lagi kepada Yang Berbahagia Datuk Norman Abdul Halim. Sungguh menarik perkongsian pada petang ni. Yang rasa macam tak puas Datuk. Dia cakap 2 jam. Dan majlis juga mengucapkan terima kasih kepada moderator Puan Siti Sumaizah Ramli. Mohon para hadirin untuk mengaktifkan kamera masing-masing untuk sesi bergambar sebagai tanda kenang-kenangan. Semua bersedia? 3, 2, 1. Sekali lagi, freestyle. 3, 2, 1. Okey, ucapan terima kasih di atas kerjasama semua. Terima kasih Datuk.
Sama-sama. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you so much Datuk. Thank you.
Thank you Datuk. Thank you Datuk. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Ni first time ni Datuk dengan pustakawan.
Ingat dah senyum macam Barack Obama ingat
Ya.
Okey, terima kasih. Bye.
Boleh terima.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, para peserta yang dihormati, pihak jawatankuasa program telah menyediakan e-borang pengesahan kehadiran dan e-borang penilaian program di ruangan chat. Mohon kerjasama peserta untuk melengkapkan borang-borang tersebut kerana ia akan digunakan untuk penilaian dan markah individu di penghujung program SLIP. Dan borang ni akan saya post di grup WhatsApp juga. Alhamdulillah, maka dengan berakhirnya sesi bergambar sebentar tadi, kita telah sampai ke penghujung program SLIP siri 4. Semoga ianya memberi pengalaman dan ilmu yang baru kepada kita semua pada hari ini. InsyaAllah, program seterusnya akan dijadualkan berlangsung pada 28 Oktober 2021 pada hari Khamis. Saya mewakili jawatankuasa program SLIP mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih atas kehadiran dan komitmen peserta dari awal program hingga ke penghujung program ini dijalankan. Dan kami memohon maaf di atas sebarang kesilapan atau kekurangan sepanjang majlis ini berlangsung. Kita sudahi program ini dengan bacaan tasbih kifarah dan surah wal asr. Sekian, terima kasih dan Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih banyak semua.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Take care. Dah boleh rentas negeri ni, bolehlah balik kampung.
Cuma jaga SOP, stay safe.
Safe.
Bye semua.
Terima kasih.